Yo, guys, it's Kyle coming at you from Bane's Film Reviews. Today, I am sitting down with James Carr, the writer and producer, and Jerah Milligan, who is the writer, director, producer, and star of this fantastic short film called Mahogany Drive. I watched it a couple of months ago at Slam Dance, and we are in the throes of award season right now. And we're hearing about films like Babylon and Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I don't think it's too far fetched to say that this is on the same playing field as films like that. This is one of the best things that I've seen in a very, very long time. So thank you so much, guys, for sitting down with me.
That was
It's a
so
pleasure.
nice.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
your,
all right.
your review as well. I read your review and I was
Yeah,
like, oh,
that was so nice.
You are more than welcome. You earned it. It was fantastic. I'm like almost giddy sitting down with you guys because I love the film so much. So thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Of course.
The better.
So before we get into the actual film, I am curious how you guys got into filmmaking in the first place.
I mean, I think we both wanted to do like entertainment. I came by way of working behind the scenes at like MTV, BET. Started doing the comedy scene where I met Jonathan Braylock and James III. And I think through Jonathan is how I got introduced to Carr.
Yeah. Braylock.
Yeah, Braylock. And then it was actually a crazy time because we had James III, Braylock and myself had just did a show like in Brooklyn randomly on a Sunday, and somebody from Comedy Central was there, and then they set up a meeting to like. Did I meet you before the meeting? I met you right before the meeting.
Yeah, we met before.
Yeah. I felt like that was like crazy time. It was like we met you before the meeting, and then like the next week, I think we were meeting because we wanted to write, and then the next week, Comedy Central called us in. It was like crazy timing.
Yeah, actually, that's what happened. First we met, and then it was a good time.
Yeah, it was like we first met, and then like Comedy Central, and it was a random show on a Sunday. We did improv in the round, so it was like the only time we done it. I don't even know why we said yes because we rarely ever did shows on a Sunday, but that is the thing that kind of put the unit together and like sent us off to the races.
Yeah.
So cool. And yeah, I referred to you guys as the big three in the review because I couldn't think of a more appropriate way to describe you guys because you're so good. So it was maybe kind of a cheesy moniker that I gave you, but I thought it was appropriate. So
no, listen, we'll take it. It was funny because I think the whole idea is that even when we do the podcast or some of the other things we've done, is always kind of like always think of it like the Three Stooges. So it's just different emotion, but they're like one person. So I was okay with that. Like that feels like a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Made it sound very cool that we are. How about that?
Yeah. And then so where specifically did the idea for Mahogany Drive come from?
So the way it started was James III pitched an idea. He just said he wanted to do something where you guys wake up and there's a dead white woman. That was it, just a dead white woman.
Yeah.
And then everyone dismissed that immediately. Yeah. Braylock especially harshly was like, that's whatever. Then Braylock always does this. 5 minutes later, he pitches the same idea with a little twist on it. He said something like, "Oh, and then we keep finding more and more dead white women." And then we realized, and then I think one of us pitched the house is doing it. Yeah. It's hard to remember who pitched what.
Yeah.
But all that happened, and we had this idea of like just continually like the house killing women. And then at some point, one of us or all of us came up with the idea of that twist. Yeah, because I think it was one of the things of like, it definitely was James saying, because I think actually James was like, we wake up and it's a dead white woman. And he's like, I just remember him saying, I think he wanted it to be a hotel room or something. He did, yeah.
I remember him saying, there's just a bunch of dead white women. I remember that. I remember him doing like a bunch of dead white women. And then, Bray dismissing it. And then a couple minutes later, I think John goes, so how does that make sense? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, we came back to
it. Yeah, it's like, how does that work? And then it just became a thing of, like, I remember this, like, maybe you or John, someone going, but we can't just only kill white women. And it just became this thing of how do we make this thing make sense? And I think the one thing that's really fun is that we're really good at pointing fingers at ourselves versus, like, pointing fingers at other people. So the fact that the guys end up becoming, like, the trash people, I think is really fun. Because I feel like it's so much easier to point fingers at someone else, but, like, when you're a part of the problem, like, that is probably where You can get more with jokes.
Yeah,
that was actually. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
One of the things I like about it is that we managed. I think we do a decent job of managing to like make commentary on a few different things without any of it seeming too thin. You know?
Yeah. And so one of my questions was going to be, how did you eventually end up with that twist? Were there other things that you thought of before that? Did you ever think, well, this is just very literally a house killing white women? Was that ever actually an idea? It was literally they were actually dead.
Yeah, I think at the very beginning that was the idea, and then I think we got to like we were mapping out the beats, and I think we got like three quarters or 2/3 of the way through, and we I don't know who it was, but I remember one of us came up with this twist, and we were like, "That's great."
I think we needed it too, because I'm like, there's no way like, look, there's no way you're gonna have like 3 black dudes on screen and a bunch of white women dying. Like, there's like to make that funny and they're actually dead is almost a Herculean task. Like, it's almost impossible. Like, even describing, I remember recently I was at the Pan African Festival. Like, they had a director's brunch and they made every director go around and describe their film. I think I told Carr after it happened. And it's everyone's describing these extremely serious, wonderfully made, like, I'm dealing with some really, really sad, heavy stuff. By the time it got to me, and I said, our movie's about, 3 black dudes who wake up in an Airbnb and they realize it's killing white women. When I tell you the silence until one dude realized, and I go, but it's a comedy. And once, like, it was like a slow realization of like, what? And then chuckles started to happen. And I was like, because it's such a heavy task. And I think it's one of the things where you have to watch it to get the point of it. And I think, once you get to the end, I do feel like it's earned, but you gotta be with us on the ride,
Yeah.
You gotta buy in, if you will.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. And so one of the things I wanted to ask you about, I mean, the film is blatantly racist and it's hilarious. It's done so well. And you're going to ruffle some feathers along the way. I mean, even though it is a comedy, even though you explain yourselves at the end, you're still going to ruffle feathers. People are still going to be pissed off, and that's okay. But how do you approach a film that you know is going to aggravate people with like so much levity and so much comedy, and just kind of go, screw it, I really don't care what they think?
I mean, I think you always got to ask for forgiveness. I think for us, it's like, we didn't try to purposely make it like necessarily racist, but I definitely know it has a lot of sexist undertones just because we're dealing with how men treat women, which is something that is, to me, taken from, if you listen to just women talk about their experiences, like a lot of them talk about like being harassed on the way home, being judged about how they look. Like, this stuff isn't foreign. I think for us, we never wanted to, like, quote unquote, as they say in the comedy world, punch down on anybody. If anything, I think in making fun of ourselves, it helps us add light to what is happening to other people.
Yeah.
Like, when it comes to the racial components of, a black guy only dating white women, which is, a thing. The cops come into the white neighborhood really fast, or just the fact that John's character at one point lists every single thing these white women could have done to put themselves in danger.
Yeah.
I think as long as we try to start with a kernel of truth, but also I don't think we are people who are afraid to apologize if we don't get it right.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it. That's what makes it work in a way, is that it would be such a problematic story if there wasn't this undercutting. I mean, the guys still win in the end, which I think is like.
But that's life too.
It's funny. Because to me, that's also a commentary where it's like you don't have to really pay anything back. You win.
Yeah.
But I think that like it's fun watching it with an audience and seeing people like at first be really worried for the guys, and then gradually, like as they say more fucked up shit, people start going, yeah, like when Braylock says like choose what does she think would happen dressed like that?
Yeah,
you always see people go,
every time, and we're the victims, and it's like, but that's something that's, to me, the beauty of a comedy or something is like you don't need laughs every second. Those quiet moments means people are listening, and then when you deliver that joke, then you can get that pop. But like, I mean, some of my favorite comedians just sometimes it's quiet, and then you just hear like bursts of, and you remember maybe that one bit that was like so funny to you. But I think we kind of try to thread that line of, humor and commentary pretty well.
Yeah. And luckily we had a lot of women.
Yes, we definitely had women on the set who were like, you can't do that. You
Yeah.
can't say that. I didn't even at one point Bray pushed back, and then Tessa, our scientist, goes, no. And I'm like, all right, cool. All right, yeah, that's fine. Yeah. At one point, you know what it was? At one point, at the end, when I come back in, all the women, like I had improvised talking to all of them, and just on their own, and it was very funny in the moment. Like every last one of them were like, "No, I'm gay. No, I'm gay. No, I'm gay," and it was just like just down the line. And then she goes, "Well, you can't just say everyone's gay because that makes it seem like the only reason they won't leave with you is because they don't like men. They just like you." And that became a debate on set. And I'm like, honestly, that makes sense because basically that way, the joke isn't on, the queer community. The joke is on like no one wants this dude, no matter who's the last dude on earth. So I think you need people like that to check you. Because if not, I wouldn't know. Like my mind didn't come to that. You know what I mean? Like it's just me, John on set, and like we're like, what do you mean? And then you had to learn.
Yeah. So. And I think so. Personally, I think one of the reasons it works so well is because, like you said a couple of times, you're pointing the finger at yourselves. You're pointing the finger at everybody. You're not singling one group out. It's a commentary on a lot of different things. It's a commentary on sex and race and everything. And I think that you've leveled the playing field for everyone. So it allows everybody a little bit of insight and a little bit of accessibility. So it touches and reaches everybody. So I think that that's the reason, in my personal opinion, why it works so well, and why you'll ruffle some feathers along the way, but you're not going to piss people off to the point where they don't like it because it's appropriate and accessible to everyone.
Yeah, that's what we're going for.
Yeah.
Well, it worked. So.
I guess the thing is like no one wants to be preached to, so I feel like no one wants to be preached to, but also I am a person where I know as a black guy, a lot of my friends like, man, I'm tired of educating people. And I have a lot of female friends who are like, I don't want to educate men. But I'm at the point now where I'm like, if I'm in a position and you're going to listen to me, I feel like I got to attempt to try. Again, it is exhausting and it sucks. But I'm like, if at the end of the day, the people who are in opportunities don't do it, then I don't think anybody will ever do it. So,
Yeah, it shouldn't fall to you.
It shouldn't, but it's what it is. Like again, on set, it shouldn't have fell to Tessa to tell us you can't do this, and we were like, but thank God she did.
Yeah. And I think one of my gripes with a lot of the films now is people are forcing opinions and perspective on people rather than allowing them to understand that what they're doing is wrong or they need to make some changes. They're just forcing this and saying, you better do this, you better listen. And you approach it in a way, I think a lot of it is because of the comedy. You approach it in a way that allows people to look introspectively and say, oh shit, maybe I'm doing this thing I shouldn't be doing. Or I get it, but you're not being aggressive to the point where I just say, screw it, and I want to push back. You're doing it in a way that people are able to look in the mirror and say, all right, I need to make a change.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you touch, like, again, on all these very heavy topics. These are things that are talked about all the time. It's not things that are talked about occasionally or in specific settings. These are things that are talked about all day, every day, in just about every setting. My wife works in an office. She hears things like this all the time. I work in a school. It happened. I hear these conversations, and I'm having these conversations with students all the time. It's not something that you can get rid of. It's not something that you can eliminate, but there's an appropriate way to approach it, because at some point you're going to lose everybody if you don't do it the right way. And I think you guys find a good balance of being a little bit pushy and aggressive, but not to the point that you're turning people off.
Yeah, I think, and it's like, I think when you're trying to make some sort of social commentary, it always helps if it's borne out through the plot and not sort of on top of it. And that's something we really tried to do. And I think also the twist helps us with that, because as soon as you're sort of like getting used to this first point, we flip it and then we're making a second one, you have to readjust. So it's a bit of a cleanser.
For sure. And then I am curious, what's it like casting specifically a group of women for roles like this?
You ask a lot of favors. Look, I think like I think everybody, every single person in the film was a favorite. The first cop, Addie Weyrich, like we've known since we were in New York. Like we had did a series that was on Seriously.tv, and like Addie, I think was still in NYU and was like our script supervisor on set. And then like as we got noted, like she's now on like Hulu shows and in movies, so she was very kind to come do it. Olivia, who played Emily, used to be in my acting class in New York. Jana, the dead white woman, is like one of my friends from New York who moved to LA.
Okay.
And, you know, our scientist Tessa was John's wife, and I think Margot, who was the second cop, Bray knew from college. So it was asking a bunch of favors.
Yeah.
It was definitely sending the script first. I think you could describe it to people, and I think for the most part, you know, when you're talking to friends, they trust that you're not going to set them up. But I was like, just read this, see if you're comfortable, and like get back to me. But yeah, they were fun. I mean, Addie had the best time when she was dying, and I remember being, and like she is a martial artist, so she's really good with stunts. And she would just on the very first take, she didn't tell me, but she just went dead weight, like just completely dead weight, and just gave me nothing. So I almost fell over. And she goes, "You calling me fat?" I was like, "Addie, no, you're not fat, but Lord, you didn't tell me nothing." But it was great. But they were so fun on set. Jana was a spirit because she was dead for 2 days on the floor. And matter of fact, I think the second day was her birthday. It was like crazy. Yeah, we had a birthday cake. Like maybe it was the first day. What a trooper, man! What a trooper.
Happy birthday. You're dead.
Yeah. What a all day on your birthday. Could you freaking imagine? Oh my goodness, what a trooper! God. What a trooper!
Is there any point in time when you're like really trying to sell it to them? They go, no, I'm not okay with this, and you're like really trying to sell it.
Everybody was cool, man. You know what it was? I think the ending helps us because the ending is very, you know, men could do better. And I think for the most part, I think the thing that's really fun to me and special is that it shows that you still can learn. I think these guys have a chance to learn to be better. They say no, but they had a chance to learn. And I think that's the one thing that like I would love to see more of in the world is just, look, man, I am a 37-year-old dude. I am learning. And there's something about trying to learn and being open to learn versus like, we have older generations who kind of push back on things. We have some people who will honestly crucify you for not knowing in the first place. And I'm like, there has to be some type of balance of, hey, you told me, I heard you, I'm not going to do it again. You know, it has to be that kind of like allowance to understand versus just condemning somebody off break. So
right. That's such an important part of it too. And I mean, I'm just kind of repeating the same things again, but you find this really good balance of what's acceptable and what's not, and you approach it in a very appropriate way for other people to access and do what they will with it. I mean, you're kind of like you said at the end of the film, you guys are kind of like, nah, but you guys are giving the audience the opportunity, whether they take it or not. That's on them now.
Yep, exactly. It got nothing to do with us.
Right. Yeah, you guys played your part. You did what you're supposed to do, and that's all you can do. And then so what's the most rewarding part of creating a movie that maybe doesn't adhere to societal guidelines and expectations and things like that?
I mean, I think like one thing is sitting in the audience and just hearing people go on the ride and like getting to hear the laughs and there's some small groans and so you know, it's really, really fun, and it's fun to see it like come together the way you want it to come together. And also hearing from people like you who have watched it and appreciate it and, you know, get what we're trying to do. Yeah. Because that means
And to me, it's like the fact that we got it done. I think like I think there's so often I think so many people have so many great ideas, but because life gets in the way for whatever reason, it could be financial, it could be, you know, family, illness, you just don't get to do it.
Yeah.
And I think when it was time to do this, you know, I spoke to, you know, John, James, and James about it. and I hired someone who would push it forward, even if I basically found somebody who would push it forward so I couldn't back out of it.
Okay.
And I think, so like at one point, we didn't have the money, and we had to do a Indiegogo. And I remember I didn't even want to ask for the full amount, but like the guys and my friend Rachel were like, no, get the money you need. And even doing so, it still wasn't enough. But it was so much that helped, and to see that many people come out. I think we had over like 250 like donations.
Yeah.
Wow.
So to see that many people, I mean, some of the biggest donators were like my old coworkers. And,
Okay.
And when I saw some of the amounts they were donating, I was like, what the heck are you doing? They're like, listen, one of us has to get out of this business and try hard. And I'm like, yo, thank you. And so having that support and to get into these festivals and knowing that people really took a shot. And for the most part, like just the workers too, like our crew was pretty diverse. I mean, every department head except for our editor were all women, majority women of color.
Wow.
And it wasn't even a thing that was, maybe our producer Blaine purposely did it, but for the most part, when she was bringing me people to interview, it just happened that way. It was just, these are people I connected with, and they just happened to have a diverse crew.
Yeah.
So when you showed up on set, it was, honestly, when you showed up on set, I was like, this is a fair example of what the world could be. And I'm like, when I hear people complain about how hard it is and about how you got to take chances on certain people from certain areas, I'm like, that's really not true. It's just harder to look outside of yourself if you have no connection to it. Like, if it wasn't Blaine, I'm not sure I would have, found our DP, Veronica, who is fantastic, who is now a DP to watch. But Blaine knew her. And I'm like, you just need a person to connect you to do the thing. So I'm really proud of that. Like, some of those people I still talk to this day. Like, I still talk to Veronica. I still talk to our editor. And they were all fresh people to me. So
very cool.
Wonderful thing.
And it's kind of a feel-good story to hear that you had over 200 people donate to this film. And I mean, for people that don't watch indie films, people that are just, they go to the movies and they see what's big right now, I don't think they realize how many hands are in the pot trying to make these things happen, try to make projects like this happen. And to hear all of these people are taking a chance and donating their hard-earned money so that someone can do something that's meaningful and entertaining and enjoyable, it's incredible. It's just a great thing to hear.
No, man, it was humbling, but also it was like, it was very humbling, but also something that made you just feel good, because you realize you have a lot of people who are investing in you.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also things that, for me, the first time producing something like this that just came up financially, I just did not. I mean, we had to get insurance. I'm thinking insurance would be like $1,000, but because they don't know me, they're charging me $6. You know what I mean? It's just like certain things you can't really equate to till you're in it. And I'm like, oh, thank God for these people. And then even, when it comes to edits and like, the color correction, the audio mix.
Yeah.
I mean, even, I think about some of these films that go into 100 festivals, and I'm like, man, submitting to a festival is at least $30. At least.
Yeah.
So I was very, very thankful for that help. And I remember sitting at home being like, man, I had to try to pay for this myself. What a dummy. Like what dummy would do that? So yes. Thank you, everybody.
Well, it turned out, like I said, fantastic. So I want everyone else to be able to watch it. Like I said, I saw it at Slam Dance a couple of months ago, but is there somewhere that other people can watch it right now? Is it on tour? What's going on?
We're still doing the festival run. Like we finished Pan African. We have a couple more festivals coming up. And then I think it probably won't be online until the end of the year once the run is done. So at that point, we got to figure out where to live. I'm hoping, we can finagle and get it on one of these wonderful streamers for people to watch. I know Hulu posts a lot of indie films. I know HBO does, and Netflix is doing it as well now. So that is the plan, or that's the goal. Come August, figuring out where should it live.
Okay.
For the future.
I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but I kept the screener link. So so I've already texted a few people I know that are friends of mine that are into film. I said next time you come over, we're watching this movie.
Please,
So
make
so I'm gonna spread the word any way I can.
I appreciate you.
Of course. And what are you guys working on now, if anything?
Well, we have 2 scripts going. One is further along than the other one.
Yeah.
One stars John, James, and myself. That Carr and Jonathan Braylock and myself are writing called Diversity Hire. About 3 Black guys fighting to get the lone diversity hire at a tech firm.
Okay.
We always have to fight. It's so funny. Me, John, and James have always had to audition against each other, and we're so completely different. And so that's kind of how that movie came up. But then also, there's a very fun idea about what would the feature to Mahogany Drive look like. And Carr and I need to figure out about just how do we do kind of a Hangover meets the Odyssey type film. That's just fun, and we kind of can bake in some social commentary into more about, I feel like, how we are obsessed with tech than anything else. Like, social media, how that impacts you, and for sure.
Yeah.
Thirst traps, and just playing into that space and just making it as funny and as weird and as big as possible. So
well, whenever that comes out, send it.
We're going.
I'm gonna show my students because they live on social media. They don't know anything other than social media. So when that comes out, I'd love to show them that.
You're gonna have to just show it to them on TikTok. That's probably the only way they're gonna watch it.
Yeah, that's it. In like 2-minute increments. You can't show them the whole thing at once because they can't pay attention that long.
Yeah, it just on TikTok.
Yeah. And then so my last question for you guys is my favorite question because it's my wife's favorite question. What are some of your favorite films?
Bro, that's forever. What? I mean, you want to talk about genres, or do you have some?
I do. You have that poster in your box.
I know, but then I look at that list and like I need to add to that list.
I mean, let's see. One of my favorite movies ever is a movie called Being There. Do you know that movie?
I have heard of it, but I have not seen it.
No, it came out in 1979. It's like directed by Hal Ashby, and it has Peter Sellers in it. It's really, really, really good. It's a great comedy. It's really, really weird. It's basically about a guy who is not smart, but speaks in such a plain way that everyone thinks he's super intelligent, and he gets like through the world that way, and everyone's like,
oh, really?
And he doesn't even know what he's doing. Great movie.
Being There,
yeah, it's a great movie.
Okay.
And then as far as like more modern comedies go, I mean, damn, I like Superbad.
Oh, bro, I know Superbad, classic.
Yeah.
I have to bring that up because you bring it up.
Classic.
That's his touchstone.
Classic.
Yeah.
It is such a simple comedy. Doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles. It's just funny for funny's sake. Like, I mean, my list is very random. Like, I got to bring up Aladdin. Got to bring up Batman Returns. Got to bring up Coming to America. I mean, Superbad is definitely in that list. Superbad is in there. I love Men in Black 1. I'm trying to think. Like, I love It Follows. I think that's a really solid horror movie.
Okay.
God, I mean, honestly, Bridesmaids and Girl Trip are fantastic comedies as well.
Okay.
Oh, you know what else I like? What? Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Oh,
I got reminded of that movie like yesterday, and I love that.
There's a movie. I'm gonna defend it because it's back in the news. One of my favorite comedies, which I wanted to add on there, is Tropic Thunder.
Great.
I love Tropic Thunder, and I do think you can do Tropic Thunder now because in every scene that Robert Downey, if you watch it, majority, not every single scene, but in majority of every scene, Robert Downey's in blackface. Brandon T. Jackson is in that scene, crapping on Robert Downey Jr. Who is in black. So, like, at no point does it go unnoticed, and at no point is it ever okay. Like,
right.
And then I think even earlier on they established that he does this kind of thing, and like, so I think that movie, and it's an action movie. I think 21 Jump Street is great.
Yeah, great movie.
I do love a bunch of I'm a big dramedy dude too. So like, what's that Jim Carrey? Eternal Sunshine.
Yeah, it's
Eternal Sunshine.
Okay.
Young Love. I do love There Will Be Blood. I love a Jack Nicholson movie. One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. This is an endless supply. The Die Hard, the first one.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So My favorite. It's my favorite Christmas movie.
Yeah, because it is a Christmas.
It is.
Oh my god, no, I could argue with you guys for a long time about why it's not a Christmas movie, but
No, don't you dare! Don't you? Batman Returns is a Christmas movie as well. It takes place at goddamn Christmas. Don't do this. If it takes place at Christmas, Scrooge is a good movie. I feel like Scrooge doesn't get enough love. Yeah, man. Home Alone 2 Lost in New York made me want to live in New York for a long time.
Oh yeah, of course.
I wanted to live in New York for so long just from watching that movie. God, that movie was so fun. Yeah, man, I could go on and on. It's just so many movies. Hitch, one of the best rom-coms ever.
Yeah, Hitch is very good.
Love a good rom-com. You give me like some Notting Hill. I feel like they don't even make them like that anymore. Now they lean too slapstick and comedy heavy and too really bright. Where like those movies were quote unquote bright, but not by color. So like people weren't wearing like oranges and like bright reds. It was like no, a lot of them took place during the day.
Yeah,
a lot of it felt a little clean, and most of it was pretty grounded. So
sure. Yeah,
I struggle with a rom-com.
Love. Watch Notting Hill. As Notting Hill is a premise that I think like everybody wants. You run into a celebrity at your job and you fall in love. Like that's but it also treats that kind of insecurity as well. Like what happens when like you are a quote unquote regular person.
Yeah.
And the person you're in love with, not only does everyone love, but that person can have anybody in the world. You know, that has to and they're the breadwinner. So it's like there's so much
right.
You got to be insecure in yourself.
Oh, have you seen They Came Together?
They Came Together. What's that one?
Great. Not.
So it's a parody of rom-coms. So it's got like I think it's Amy Poehler and Paul Rudd are the main two characters.
Oh really?
All the like dudes like Paul Shear and all that. They're great.
Oh gotcha.
And David Wayne and the director.
Oh god.
It's really funny. You have to watch rom-coms to get the jokes, but damn, it takes down rom-coms in a very very fun way. But it still is a rom-com.
Oh, they gotta make it good. I love rom-com. See, that's like 100 movies right there. That's like
it's impossible to pick one. It really is.
Yeah.
Wait, what is your? Do you have a favorite movie?
I mean, I always say the same thing. I always say Empire Strikes Back.
Oh yeah, well. Okay.
But I've said it 100 times, and I know that part of the reason, aside from it being a great film, is my dad took me to see it at midnight when it was re-released in the late 90s. And he worked a lot, so we didn't spend a ton of time together. So the fact that he took, and I found out later he hates Star Wars. So the fact that he took me to see all of the original Star Wars films at midnight when they were re-released, that meant a lot to me. So that's remains at the top of the list for a very long time.
It's also a great movie. It is.
Yeah.
That's the second one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that is absolutely the best Star Wars movie by far. But there's so many movies. I mean, like, see what I got behind me.
The Wall.
Yeah, I mean, I really liked Palm Springs with Andy Samberg.
That was really good. That was good.
There's an indie film I saw a couple years ago. It's called One of the Good Ones. I really, really like that one. It's on the top of my list. I love the Marvel movies. I'm like a huge Marvel nerd now. I never read a comic book in my life, and now I love all the movies.
Love that.
I love Babylon. I just watched that the other day, and it's so good.
Did you watch it in one sitting?
No, it took me 3 sittings.
Same.
Yeah. And I got to the end where Manny's sitting in the theater watching the movie and he's crying. And I was watching it in the morning before school started. And I'm like, I'm not going to cry in school before my kids walk in. And I had to like talk myself off the ledge because it was so emotional and it meant so much. It was so good. I liked The Menu. The Menu was really good.
The Menu was really fun.
The Menu was a movie that made me sad because I knew 4 people in the movie, and I was like, "Good God, everybody's in this movie!" It was insane. It was insane. I was like, "What is this?"
Yeah, the list goes on, and it changes every day. And every time I see something new, it's just great. Honestly, like I said, Mahogany Drive is one of the best things that I've seen in a long time. So,
from a cinephile like yourself, I take that. With a lot of praise, just so you know.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. But again, guys, I can't thank you guys enough for sitting down with me. I'm so glad that I was able to watch the film and chat with you guys about it. And I hope I hope you guys have a lot of success with it. I look forward to sharing it with everybody that I possibly can.
Thank you.
And yeah, of course. And
what grade do you teach?
I teach 7th through 12th grade special ed English.
The 7th through 12th?
Yeah, that's
yeah. Yeah. And I'm the lead teacher in the alternative school in our district.
Okay. All right. Man.
Yeah. So it's a heavy job.
Work. That's
yeah.
man, that's literally helping the future. Fantastic. Cheers to you, my friend.
Well, thank you. Keep it up, guys. I look forward to what you guys have next. Please, spread the word on whatever comes out next. Send it to me and be more than happy to review it.
Awesome. We'll do.
All right. You're more than welcome. You guys have a great day.
You too. Peace
See
out.
you guys. See ya.